Hey guys, Dennis here with Revog Games. I'm joined by
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
we're here to do our weekly games podcast, Revog Games podcast, talk about all the cool stuff in video game news. This week, quite more news than last week. Nothing like major, but a lot of like, I think you had mentioned it when you're messaging with me. A lot of business type news.
Yeah,
We gotta
a lot of
we
industry,
can
a lot of gaming industry news, but not gaming news itself.
Yeah. So let's kind of start off with this because I sent you like 4 or 5 articles for this because
Yeah.
it's a whole thing, and I want to get into a bigger picture. And we've mentioned it before, but maybe it furthers talking about is so this week Sony acquired Housemarque, which is the
This make
developer
yeah,
that did
for Returnal.
Returnal, which was
Yeah.
a PS5 exclusive game. And I think from their back history, they've really only worked on Sony games, like PS3, PS4, or whatever. I don't think they were really a cross-platform type of thing. So, but anyways, they've been purchased. So now that they are exclusive to Sony, Sony also acquired I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. It's a Dutch studio called Nexus or whatever.
Yeah, and
But
they specialize in PC porting.
yes, so
Yeah.
they're not creating like original games. They're just porting games to PC. So they had worked with like Crystal Dynamics, ADIS, I don't know how you pronounce it, Montreal,
I
IO
mean, in all
Interactive.
honesty, moving forward, this kind of ties into what we're going to talk about later. I feel like these are the people that will going to bring Ghost of Tsushima to
Yeah,
PC.
I think so.
Most likely that this will be the studio bringing, because ever since well, actually, let's talk about this more because I don't want to get into the whole
hmm
Sony Epic thing right now.
hmm But yeah,
But
so
yeah,
they acquired them. Obviously, Sony is going to focus on porting over these quote unquote PS exclusives to PCs. But I think their strategy is instead of a day and date like the way that Xbox is, it's going to
Mhm.
be like, okay, 2 years from now. So like say Ghost of Tsushima came out last year, right? We probably won't
Yeah.
see a PC port until right before like Ghost of Tsushima 2 comes out. That's my feeling on it. That's probably most
Yeah, they
likely.
still need to have exclusivity for that sake. You know what I mean? Like in the future, who knows if they're able to optimize games for PCs easier? Maybe it'll be a thing where it's like exclusive to console for 6 months and then they'll port it onto PC.
Yeah, but I don't even think it's a
But
porting
yeah,
issue, though. I don't think it's a porting issue. I think it is because remember they could do it in conjunction the way that Microsoft does it. I think they
true.
purposely will make them a year or longer time windows for PC ports because they still want people to buy the games
The
on
console.
on the console and
Mhm.
whatnot. But anyway, so they
Unless
what?
and like I said, we'll talk about this again later. But you gotta remember that Sony now has a big stake in Epic.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
unless it's one
maybe.
of those, well, obviously they're going to be taking like that's how it works. They're going to be taking their cut when it comes onto PC. But I'm assuming that they're going to be taking a bigger cut because of the deal that they made with Epic. Like, and these games when they do come out will be on Epic. I guarantee you that right now. There's no
Yeah.
way that Sony dipped that much money into Epic Games for them to put their games onto Steam. You know what
Well,
I
they're
mean? It's
not
going to
taking
be on
that
Epic.
30%. They're not
Oh yeah,
giving
hell
up
no.
that 30%. Even with the tiered distribution, you hit X
I
amount of
don't
sales,
even
you get
I don't
whatever.
even think that they're gonna take. I think because I think with Epic it's like 18 or 20. I don't even think they're gonna take that. I think it's gonna be like less. I think
No, no.
most likely with the amount.
Epic is even lower. It's like 12. It's 12%, I
The
think.
point is, I feel like they're gonna take even less than that 12%
Maybe.
because it's a deal of like, hey, look, we're gonna imagine if God of War was
Mm,
exclusive to Epic.
true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
And instead of Epic having to pay a bunch of money for it, they just take less of the cut. That's a
Hmm.
Of course Epic will say that. If Epic's like, hey, look, we'll just take instead of taking 12% of the cut, they would still be okay with taking like 8% of the cut just to have it exclusively on
Oh,
Epic,
yeah.
you know?
For sure. For sure.
So yeah.
Uh, and then so another thing, this one is not confirmed, but it was a potential leak, which is from,
Yeah.
and it sounds pretty legit though, because it came from the PlayStation Japan Twitter, and they
Mm.
had posted something that had been deleted, which was "Welcome to the family" to Blue Point Games. So Blue Point Games is actually the American studio that's behind Demon Soul and the Shadow of Colossus remakes. So
Which was kind of an Xbox. Oh, sorry. Which was
yes,
Shadow of the Colossus is pretty much a Sony exclusive. You know, the original as well as the remake.
Yeah, and so that one's not official yet, but it seems most likely what that's happening. When interviewed Herman Hulst, the head of PlayStation Studios, he said they're not in an arms race with Microsoft when he's talking about these studio acquisitions.
Yeah, well, they're if they are, they're a little behind. At least in terms of big studios. There's still a bunch of other smaller studios up there, but like once they nabbed ZeniMax, like you know what I mean? That was a big acquisition.
Yeah, there's only a few studios on that level that are still out there. One being like EA.
Well, Sony acquired Activision Blizzard. That would be big,
Yeah, Activision Blizzard, Rockstar.
That would be a big deal,
Rockstar is big in the sense of they don't have that many games, but the games that do come out,
but they got
like,
money. That's what they got.
So, anyways, they said that they're not in an arms race. Sure looks like they're in an arms race. And business-wise, it makes sense. I would encourage them. Like I've said this many times, I'll repeat it again. All things being equal, I don't want any exclusives for any platform. I believe that every game should be available on every system, PC, console, whatever. I mean, there is, obviously tech limitations, right? You're not going to put, something that's like super high end on Nintendo Switch, but that's not a thing of like, oh, I'm not saying don't put it on Nintendo Switch. It's just like if it's not technologically feasible, then yeah, there's a reason not to put it on there. But anyways, I believe that every console should have a game. However, that this is the real world, not in fantasy Dennis's.
If it's going to happen whether we wanted it to or not. So yeah.
Yeah. So
look
the only way to do
one,
is,
I guess.
Yeah. So apparently exclusives are going to be the norm for all the different consoles.
Well, here's what I think. I think moving forward, there will always be exclusives in terms of consoles, but moving forward, I don't think it's going to be a PC exclusive, console exclusive thing anymore. Like whatever exclusives in the future, whatever exclusives are on Sony, it will eventually be on PC. And with Microsoft, whatever exclusives they have, it will eventually be on PC. So there will still be exclusives in terms of consoles, but when it comes to PCs and consoles, I don't think that there's going to be exclusives there. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we'll have exclusives with Epic or Steam, etc., or the Microsoft Store, but that at least there's that where it's like you don't have to worry too much in terms of like the PC gaming, console gaming part. You're gonna get games. I guess if you have a PC, moving forward, like in the future, I feel like owning a PC is the way to go because you're gonna be able to get Sony games and Microsoft games on your PC.
If you're a patient person. If you are a patient
person. If you're patient, yeah.
If you're willing to play games, not Xbox, because those are all at least mostly coming out on PC as well. Though the one thing I was disappointed, because I actually, even as a Halo fan, I actually have not played Halo 5 Guardians. I actually have a copy from
Neither
Xbox
have I. I think
One.
the last Halo I played was Halo 4.
Well, the reason why you haven't played it is because you don't have an Xbox and it's never come out on PC. And they never plan. I just read some articles.
It's not on Game Pass?
Nope. It's not. They have no plans whatsoever to port over the game to PC. Because I was going to play it recently. I was like, well, I have Game Pass. My PC is much heftier graphics-wise than my current Xbox One X. I'll play it on there.
It doesn't even show up. Yeah. It doesn't even show up on the Microsoft Store. You're right.
So but most of these games will be available on the PC on day one. But anyways, yeah. So you are, you're getting the best of both worlds. If you're a very patient person that you don't have to play these games, on day one, then yeah, PC is probably the best route, especially if you don't mind playing in front of your computer monitor, which I do a lot more today than I do in front of the TV. So anyways, the whole point being is that Sony is kind of upping their game. Remember, they bought Insomniac a few years back. Or actually, maybe was it a year ago or 2 years ago?
Honestly, I thought they would have done it years. Like, I thought that would have happened years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just because, like, that was a no-brainer for Sony to get Insomniac. Because Insomniac games have just always played really well on PlayStation. You know, and they've done really good games in the past. Same with Naughty
Yeah.
Dog. You know, like Naughty Dog works like Naughty Dog and Sony is like a thing that makes sense to me. You know.
Yeah. So, anyways, this gives kind of the bigger picture that we've talked about in a while, which is this whole like acquisition of studios and exclusives and whatnot. And it's funny because talking to people online or not on Twitter and people arguing back and forth, it's just funny to see like that people are trying to differentiate these acquisitions from what Microsoft was doing, because a lot of people obviously remember the whole apology, non-apology stuff for Bethesda and Starfield and all that stuff. You know, some people are upset, and I've always maintained it's like I said, I don't like exclusives for either platform, but if they're happening because of business reasons, like you can't be like, oh well, Microsoft is evil because they're doing this. It's like Sony's been doing this, you know? like
it's one of those things. It's one of those things where like I related to crypto mining on graphics cards. You can complain about not being able to get a graphics card as much as you want, but people are out there mining, but like Bitcoin, whether you want them to or not, you know. So it's like you either join them or you suffer, kind of thing, you know. It's stupid to hate people for it. Like as long as Bitcoin mining exists, there's no point in hating people for mining it, you know, and making a shortage of graphics cards. They're gonna do it. Like you can't stop it. You know,
so
acquisitions are gonna happen.
One of the arguments that people are making, I think, is a bit disingenuous, is that they're like, well, Sony has these homegrown studios, you know, when you're talking about like Naughty Dog or whatever, I think Sucker Punch is one of them, that they homegrown talent, and then they're not, and Bethesda was this whole separate thing. Yeah, that's true, but Insomniac was not a homegrown thing, and yes, they had mainly done PlayStation games, but in 2010 they decided to expand to multi-platform. And remember, they made Sunset Overdrive for Xbox. And also remember just the character itself. Sony, before, you know, Sony had acquired the rights to the character for film and video games, is that Spider-Man had games on multi-platforms. There was games not by Insomniac, but other. So like, that's why I just find these arguments disingenuous. You can't be one or the other, you know? You can't be like, well, PlayStation exclusives, they're fine because XYZ, blah, 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 and Microsoft's buying Bethesda is not okay because of this reason. It's like,
yeah,
y'all get to
it's horrible. It's horrible to say this, but at the end of the day, it's like their opinions don't matter. Our opinions don't matter. These things are gonna happen whether you want them to or not. Your opinions do not matter. And I know a lot of gamers out there are thinking, but we are the gamer, we are the consumer, we have the power. I'm like, yeah, you can tank reviews. That's all we can do. That's the only power we have, is to tank reviews.
Which I find to be pretty lame. Which I find
it's
to be
so
pretty
stupid.
lame.
Yeah, well, eventually they're gonna find a way to combat that. You know, where it's like, you know, they're gonna get rid of user reviews at some point because of that.
I like user reviews, but you know what I like is verified purchase only. That's what I like. That's what I don't like about IMDb. So IMDb, anyone can rate a movie.
True.
And I remember this distinctly. That do you remember that movie Selma?
Yes,
Ava DuVernay.
Yeah. Couple years ago, yeah.
To me, I really like that movie. Very well done. Anyways,
it was a good movie. Good
good
period piece.
The movie was on IMDb, but the movie had not come out yet. But because of the subject matter,
people tanked it.
Yeah, Martin Luther King and civil rights. The reviews were like all like negative reviews. The movie hadn't come out yet. It hadn't come out yet, and it was already like, so I just don't.
Here's why user reviews work on Steam, because you can see how many hours the person's played. If I see somebody on Steam having played a game for more than 50,000 hours, and they're like, it's good, I'll be like, yo, it's got to be good. The guy put 50,000 hours in. But if I see someone who played like, you know, like a minute or two, and they're like, nah, it's a bad game, I'm like, no. If someone played the game for like an hour or two, and then they say the game's bad, they played the game for a couple hours. They have an opinion. I like the fact that they have that number to it. I feel like I don't know. This is going a bit off topic, but like in terms of IMDb and even Rotten Tomatoes, they need to give like a merit system out to the user reviewers, where it's like, okay, your review matters more because you've reviewed this many other movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But anyways,
But yeah,
back to the
pulling it
subject.
back.
Yeah. Anyways, so Sony's, basically doing the same thing that Microsoft's doing.
They're making moves. They're making money.
And I think it's a good business move.
They were gonna fall behind if they didn't. Genuinely,
is it great for game fans? No, I mean, was Microsoft buying Bethesda great for Bethesda fans who only have a PlayStation? No. But like I said, it happened and it's unavoidable, and it unfortunately is the future. So, and so I'm not going to knock. So I'm not going to knock Sony for doing the same thing, but at the same time, I'm not going to let people who let Sony off the hook for doing this. But say Microsoft is evil for doing that.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So, what were you gonna say?
I'm sidetracked now. It's funny because we always talk about acquisitions with Xbox and PlayStation with Sony. I wonder if Nintendo is making moves. Because that's something you never read about, is Nintendo buying IP or Nintendo buying studios. Well, to be fair, they already have. They're just like, what's that? We want a sport game? Great, we got Mario. We'll put him in a sport game. What's that? We want a MOBA? We got Pokemon. Let's make that into a. They've already. I guess they. That's the nice thing about Nintendo, is they can take their old IP and be like, okay, they could probably take like, they could probably take Mario and make like a first-person shooter out of it. Make the next like Call of Duty or something. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was, oh yes, Housemarque. That makes sense to me. Look, Returnal did really well, and for a while it was the only like game you could really play on the PS5 that was. It was exclusive at the time, I believe. But for a while, because I had a friend who had a PS5, and I went over to his house, and it was the only look. I mean, all the games he was playing were older games that were just upscaled for the PS5, So the Returnal was that. It had a lot of hype. I would go so far as to say that I think Returnal pushed sales as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know I told you I would buy a PS5 just for Returnal because I love that type of game. It's not for everybody. It's got an 8 out of 10. It really isn't for everybody, but I think so. Here's why it makes sense to me, because of how well Returnal did.
Yeah.
Most likely Returnal will be on PC, I think, soon. Like sooner than Sony exclusives. I feel like Returnal will come out like out of nowhere on PC soon. And if it does, I don't know. Sony should have done this, because I really think that Xbox would have nabbed them. Like maybe not now, maybe not like in a year from now, but like I feel like Xbox would have nabbed Housemarque if Sony didn't, like in the next year or so. Because who knows? I feel like their next game might be a banger. So it's a preemptive strike to go and acquire them.
It did well. They're a smaller studio, so they're not gonna be, it's not gonna be Bethesda type money for them, and it's good. And you got an exclusive for your platform, and people enjoy it, and they'll have it. Whatever the sequel comes out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, anyways, semi-related. I know. Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, he was interviewed, and he said, these acquisitions, they're just part of the business, but he said he didn't say, not naive was not the right word, short-sighted, he said, for studios not to want to sell to larger companies, whether it's Xbox or Microsoft or Sony. He's just saying that it just costs a lot of money, and for studios, it's really risky, and you don't see a return on your money for a while because of the nature of how long games take and whatnot. So that's just interesting thing.
I think it depends who you're selling to. It really depends who you're selling to as well. Like if you were selling your soul to EA, if you were selling your studio to EA, you already know that you're gonna get the shaft, or they're just gonna be like, they're gonna put you on the crunch, or they're gonna be like, look, we love your idea, put loot boxes in. Whereas. So it really depends who you're selling to, I think.
How do we do microtransactions in this game?
Yeah, that's the first thing they ask themselves. Yeah, how do we exploit this? How do we make how do we sell colorful rainbows to children?
Yeah.
That's all they ever think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with it. But short-sighted is like the best term because dude, it's also like I don't want to say it, but elephant in the room, the pandemic, the coronavirus. If you have the
Yeah.
opportunity to sell your company for a significant amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
like do it because you don't know what's happening in the future. You don't know what's going to happen in the next year or two. You might not, the world might end. Make your bags, make those bags now. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? If you're getting offers for people to acquire your company and that money is real and it's in your face and you don't know about your money for the next couple years, take the money, get acquired. You know what I mean? Like as long as the deal is good, don't ever take a bad deal. But if you're running a studio, you should know what a good deal and a bad deal looks like. You know?
Yeah. I link you on this next one. This one is
The Ghost of Tsushima.
No. This one's semi-related to what we're talking about. Indie publishers are fed up with PlayStation. I don't know if you saw this.
No, could you link that to me?
Yeah. Let me send it to you.
I will say it does make sense to me because PlayStation has never been indie friendly.
No.
Like they've
Yeah.
never been indie game friendly. Like Xbox was the place for indie developers and indie games. Even like
Yeah.
when I didn't have an Xbox 360, but I know that the Xbox 360 that era was like it was a bloom in indie games because they had I think it was called not Xbox Arcade, but it was called Xbox Indie. They even like pushed indie developers and gave them deals and stuff. But yeah, PlayStation
And they made money. Remember?
friendly.
Do you remember that? What was that documentary called? Quite enjoyed that documentary. The one that was, I think it was called Indie Game.
Level
right?
Up?
No,
Or
Indie Game.
Yeah, indie game.
Where,
Yeah, indie
where,
game.
where
Movie.
they followed like several different like 1 to 2 people like operations that were making indie games, and I think Xbox was kind of heavily featured in it because they were just much more of a indie game.
They really
friendly
pushed. Yeah, they
platform.
pushed the indies. Yeah, I think they
So,
gave. I believe they gave good deals where it's like, hey, come put your indie game on us on Xbox 360 for like a couple dollars, and we'll give you 50% of the cut. You know. I can't remember what the deals were. I just remember it was very beneficial to indie developers, and a lot of indie developers were trying to get their games on Xbox because of how good the deal was and how it helped
yeah.
the company. You know.
Yeah, so basically a group of indie publishers went to Twitter and then they didn't say PlayStation or Sony, but they said the console, a very successful console that does not have Game Pass. Which is there's only two successful consoles that don't have Game Pass. One is Sony and one is Nintendo. And Nintendo is not whatchamacallit. Nintendo is not really in the indie game, like they have less
No,
of
they're
a
not in
kind
the
of
indie realm.
yeah.
Yeah. Which it's funny because indie games would work really well on the Switch. I'm sure they do have indie games, but it's just not known. Like Nintendo
Yeah.
isn't like linked to indie games. You know, you're not like it's not a common thing that you would link together.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, they're saying that there's no way to like get promotion, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through. No one's helping them out, and it's kind of like they're saying like survival of the fittest type of thing, like to get on. And there's just a lot of things that you have to get through, and if you want to get any type of promotion, you got to pay for it. There's just basically there's no. They treat kind of the indie game game developers much like they were big studios, like, oh well, you want X amount of promotion, you got to pay X amount of, you know what I mean? It's like indie game developers can't pay that. They're not paying $25,000 to get like a spot promoted, a good promotion spot within the store, just stuff like that. So yeah, it's as it says, sometimes you might be waiting a month for a reply to something simple. So they're just not very indie friendly.
I can see how that sucks, and it, like you said, is not very indie friendly. But the world is not indie friendly with regards to any market, whether you're an independent filmmaker, whether you're an independent video game maker, you will struggle. Being part of being independent is the struggle. You know what I mean? Like and for years they were like, there's a lot of systems, even right now with like Steam. Steam is like a good place to like put your indie games on there and things like that, and try to get a green lit, have a fairly easy green lighting process on Steam. And it's one of those things where it's like, it sucks, but it's like, what's the point of complaining about it? Like, it's better, like, the alternative is having zero ties to Sony and trying to get a game on them. You know what I mean? That's the alternative, is having zero ties to Sony, having like zero support and trying to get your game on the console. That would be the alternative. So yeah, it sucks, but like they're still in contact with Sony and trying and being and able to get their games on there, you know? It does suck though, but it's like it's one of those things where it's just gonna push them to a different console. That's all it's gonna do. They're just gonna look at Xbox, and Xbox is a lot more indie friendly. And this is coming from someone who loves Sony. I love Sony, but Xbox is more indie friendly.
Well, you know what makes Xbox even more indie friendly than before? Because before they already were, just by policies. But Game Pass
as well. Like,
Game Pass,
yeah,
because they can get that money, be on a
preview.
And then they can be on a platform that people that aren't willing to pay for these indie games that they've never heard of, but they're paying for it through their subscription, and therefore it's like a smaller percentage. So, you know, these games have a chance of being seen, being played. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of indie games that were shown during the showcase that I'd be like, that's interesting. I don't know if I'm going to pay the money to go or check it out. What if it's not good? I don't know. Guess what? If it's on Game Pass, I'm checking it out. You know?
Exactly, yeah. Game Pass already right now has a lot of great indie games. It's sad because they get rid. It's like they add a lot of indie games, but they also get rid of a lot of indie games because obviously there's a time limit that the Game Pass deal works for. But here's why Game Pass is also indie friendly, is because they have game preview, which allows you to have a game that's in early access on Game Pass. You know what I mean? So if your game is in early access and Xbox is like, hey, this is good enough for us for the Game Pass, you can throw it on there. You know, get crazy support. You know. It fills up your servers. You get a lot more like feedback from people playing it. Like I know Second Extinction, the game's still not out yet, but it's on Xbox Game Pass as game preview.
All right, here's the next topic that you had mentioned already, and this is, a cool thing from Sony. Ghost of Tsushima's Director's Cut is coming out with a Iki Island expansion, and also there's going to be a PS5 version. It's coming on August 20th, so not that far away. You said you're about halfway through the game?
Yeah, I'm probably about halfway through the game. It's like I said, every time I hop onto the game, I get invites from people playing the game saying, let's play Legends, and then I'm like, hell yeah, because Ghost of Tsushima Legends is still freaking amazing. The multiplayer is so freaking sweet.
But yeah, it's coming on August 20th.
I think the biggest deal about this is the price point.
Yeah, that's something that's a little controversial is too strong of a word, but just a little more debatable in terms of because they're not calling this a DLC, they're calling this a director's cut. So there's going to be like this island, which I don't know how big it is. I mean, maybe I guess depending on
how much content is on the island.
Yes, exactly.
It could be a huge island with no content,
Yeah. So they said there's going to be a new storyline, a new island, and whatever, new armor, new techniques, all that stuff. The pricing this is what's interesting. So if you already own the game on PS4, you can pre-order the upgrade for $19.99. That's not too bad. I mean, I usually, DLCs 14, 15 bucks, or 10 to 15 bucks usually. Okay, 20 bucks if this is a significant one. The only problem though is if you don't pre-order it, you got to pay 30 bucks, I think.
Yeah. It'll cost $30.
Yeah. So okay, no, 30 bucks. No, 30 bucks, but it gets you the upgrade to PS5 as well. So you get the director's cut plus a free upgrade to PS5. If you just want to upgrade to the PS5 version from PS4, it's $9.99. Or no, if you already own the PS4 version of the director's cut, which you buy for $20, then it's very confusing.
It is very confusing. The obvious best deal here is if you don't own the game and you want it on PS5, is just buy the $70 version. Yeah. Get the director's cut for $70 because that's only $10 more than the original game. You know what I mean? That would be the best.
And 70 is currently the standard price for
PS5.
PS5 games. So Yeah,
Well, actually, let me scratch that. So obviously, if you haven't played the game, the best deal is to just get the director's cut. And whether you're on PS5 or PS4, just get the director's cut. Because on PS4, the director's cut is $60, and it includes
yeah,
the island.
yeah,
That's if you don't have the game. Obviously, most people, the game was very popular. Most people do have the game.
yeah.
Not everybody has a PS5, so I see a lot of people paying the extra $20 for that island. The question is $20 worth it for the island? And considering we don't know anything about it, I spoke to you about this before the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Fallout 4 came out a long time ago, but Fallout 4 had DLC that ranged anywhere between $20 to $35 for DLC. They had a DLC where they added an extra island for
Mm-hmm.
$35, but it was a lot of content. It was like a bunch of new, like much bigger, badder monsters to fight,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of NPC. It was actually a lot of content for 30, which is why it was $35
I
for
mean,
that
that is a
DLC.
lot for that is a lot for DLC.
It's a lot of money for DLC, but it was a lot of content, a
Yeah.
lot, like, to the point. I still think 35 is a bit much for it, but I think $30 would have been a fair price for that. It was a lot of DLC, and it was endgame DLC. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, you killed everything in the game in Fallout 4. We'll give
Mm-hmm.
you something bigger and badder to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And there were like 2 or 3 extra bosses or something. I could be wrong about it, but that made sense to me. You know what I mean? So at $20, because that price point was 35, $20 seems fair to me if there's content on the
Mm-hmm.
island. I mean, there's going to be content, but the question is how much.
Yeah.
You know,
How many hours of content? Look, I'm probably gonna pre-order it because I love the game. $20 isn't that bad. You know what I don't like though is PS4 player owners who own the director's cut can upgrade to the PS5 version for $10. So you're not
Yeah.
getting a free upgrade from PS4 to PS5, and I'm not talking about your original game on PS5. It's you have to already own the director's cut from PS4, so you have to pay that $20 no matter what, because no one owns that director's cut right now. Just upgrading
Yeah.
to the PS5 version is going to cost you $10. You know, yeah. So it's
just for the, I mean, well, it is a big jump going to 4K 60 FPS, but it's like, I get what you mean. Like, I don't know if they originally said that the upgrade is going to be free. I know that they said for a lot
no,
of
I
games,
don't
the
mind
upgrades would be
paying. I mean,
free,
they already gave
you
the
know?
free online stuff, which
Yeah, they gave
you know.
they gave us Legends for free, which was good. Yeah.
Yeah. The games, I
Um,
don't mind paying. I think it's worth.
I
Probably
think a
will be
$10
worth it.
a $10 upgrade fee is something I think we're going to see a lot more of in the future.
Yeah.
Unless it's for older games, like much older games, they're going to be like, here's a free upgrade, because they know they can't get away with charging you for it. They just want more people to use the servers or something,
Yeah. I mean, apparently the PS5 version is going to have also a Japanese lip sync dub.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting.
So yeah, so I think like as far as I remember, I guess the PS4 the mouth was for English, but the dub was in Japanese. Well, the way I played it. Anyway, so
No, it was originally like the lip syncing was in English. They had developed the game as English first.
I
So
can't,
yeah,
I
the
can't play it
Japanese
in
dub.
English. I can't. I watched the
Same.
trailer and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Because I played it with Japanese voices and English subtitles, which to me just immersed me
that's the
so
way I
much
played
more
it.
in the game.
Yeah.
Look,
Especially once you put Kurosawa mode on.
I would jump in and out of Kurosawa mode. I definitely did
Same.
not play the majority of the game in that, just because there were, like I mentioned, certain missions that actually involved color that you needed. And overall, Kurosawa mode was very cool, but I liked it in limited amounts.
I liked it for the duels, you know what I mean? Or those
Yeah.
like where you're like about to challenge somebody, you walk up, you wave your sword in the air. I liked it for those things, like those initial combats, and then exploration. I never used it because, like you said, you need the color,
Yeah. It says your save file will transfer over from PS4 to PS5. I mean, I don't have a PS5, so I'm just saying, $10 for that PS4 to PS5.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, I
Not
think
a
that the
fan
bigger
of it.
issue is the biggest issue is the $20 DLC. I think the $10 upgrade fee is fair,
I'm the
Like,
opposite. I'm the opposite. I
but-
think the $20 DLC, well, quote unquote director's cut is fine. I think the $10 to upgrade from PS4 to PS5 is, especially at this point in PS5's cycle, is a bit much. So,
Yeah.
uh,
It is
you know,
it is actually unfortunate because I think that they could get away with more sales if they said the upgrade is free. A lot of people don't have a PS5 right now, but they still plan on getting a PS5, right?
hmm
So it's a case of like if you said, "Hey, upgrades are free," and then you kept the $20 price for the
yeah,
director's cut, or you're releasing the director's
yeah,
cut, you're gonna have people buying the game on PS4, and they'll be a lot more inclined to buy the game right now on PS4, knowing that they get the free upgrade once they finally can afford a PS5 or
yeah.
can have access to one. You
Access
know?
to one, yeah. And
Yeah.
then also another thing too with the PS5. Remember, it's not a remaster; it's still the PS4 version. Obviously,
Mm.
you have the upscaled, higher performance, and you know what I mean. But it's not like
It's just optimized. That's
yeah,
all.
yeah. The
You're
models
paying
aren't.
$10 for
You
optimization.
can watch the trailer. The trailer came out, and it was a very cool trailer. But you can tell that it's not. It's not ground up for PS5. You can tell it's like made for PS4, but then upgraded. So. All right, let's move on to the next thing we've got. One of my favorite games of the recent years was 2019's Control from Remedy. That was my
Hell
favorite
yeah.
game of that year. So they announced that they're doing a multiplayer spin-off game. Right now it's codenamed Condor. I don't know what the final name will be. A 4-player co-op players versus environment. Sounds like, in essence, kind of like a horde zombie mode. You know what I mean? Like, what was the mode in Ghost of Tsushima called? The one where you just get waved.
It
Basically,
was just a horde mode as well. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
essentially.
Uh,
I think it might actually just be similar to the base game itself because a lot of that game is you shooting the environment. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it could very well just be a co-op version of Control or like a spin-off, but which makes sense because look, here's the thing: when I played Control, I was very surprised by the shooting mechanics for a game that has a lot of so much abilities in it. I was very surprised with how good the shooting mechanics were. Third person, there was like very little recoil. It was very accurate.
Mm,
Um, and when I remember the very first time I played that game, that first cutscene you have, the first time you get the gun, the first time you start shooting people, I remember going like, "Wow, I have to actually be accurate with this thing. I can't just like point and shoot. I can't just like run and shoot. You know what I mean? I
mm-hmm,
actually have to be pretty accurate with this gun, which I was not expecting considering how like the game for me kind of played off as this like action superpower game. You know.
mm-hmm.
Um, but as soon as I started shooting the gun, I was like, "Yo, low key, this would be fun in multiplayer." Like even against, I know that they're not doing PvP, but I was like, I could do some PvP.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is before you unlocked any of the powers, just purely based off of the
Mm-hmm.
gun itself. I was like, I could do some PvP with this gun. It was fun. So it seems like a no-brainer. I think it'll be a co-op, story-driven experience,
Uh-huh.
most likely. You know,
I'm
that would
also
sell well.
wondering if it's like going to be a full price game. I guess it depends on what's included. Is there going to be a story mode? Like I mentioned before about
25 million euros. That's the budget. 25 million euros.
yeah, which is not a lot, not a lot, but
Yeah.
they kind of did
Well,
a lot
they're
with a
splitting that
little.
money. Remedy's only getting half of that. So
Yeah. So yeah, I'm interested. I wonder if it's going to be a full, like I said, I am a person who likes to play these single player campaigns even in multiplayer games. Like I'm disappointed to
mm.
hear that Battlefield 5 is going to be multiplayer only. Uh, so yeah,
Oh yeah, they're still working on a free to play co-op game called
yeah,
Vanguard. I forgot about that.
yeah. But that's
They got a
outside
lot
of
of
the
things in the
control.
works.
Yeah, they kind of ramped up from their like one game every 4 or 5 years. Not quite as bad as Rockstar, where it was like a game every 8 years. But still, they weren't a very prolific studio, but now they're starting to be, which can be good and also can be bad, depending on what the
Yeah.
quality is. Um,
Looking at the quote, I do think it'll be a fair. There will be a fair amount of story as well, because like they say, they still want to be able to tell their stories or keep their unique DNA
mhm,
of Control. I think it's going to be very story driven. You know, if
mhm.
anything, if it is going to be like a horde thing, like Left 4 Dead or that Legends mode, it's still going to have a story like smashed in there somewhere, 100%.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one I think will be disappointing for fans. The
Yeah,
Elder
sad for
Scrolls
me.
6 is still in the design phase, Todd Howard says. So it was announced over 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They have not mentioned any release dates other than that kind of teaser, which really didn't show crap. It was like
It's just the
just
title.
it was the
That's all it
title
was.
plus
It was a hill and a title.
yeah, exactly. Which could be anything. Which remember, Outer Worlds 2 spoofed that whole thing with their
Yeah,
with their
they
with
literally
their
made fun of
trailer.
him. I thought it was so
Yeah.
funny.
But yeah, that's
That's
where they're at.
That's heartbreaking, man.
Which means
It makes sense though. It makes sense. Like I think, look, they're not gonna be. They're not even gonna think about development until Starfield is out and there's no bugs and it runs well and like they know that new IP is successful. That's gonna be their number one. Like that's what their number one focus is, making sure that Starfield is a successful IP, and only then will I think they start maybe working on the development for Elder Scrolls. You know?
yeah.
Unless Microsoft's like, hey, fuck that. Here's the game we want you to make, and you're gonna make it because we own you now. So, there's always a possibility of Microsoft doing that, where they're like, you know what, we want you to do this, and you're gonna do it because we own you.
Yeah, I mean, usually what happens when studios are acquired is that their owners or parent companies start off on a hands-off approach, and so like studios get to do what they do, and slowly the hands start getting closer, and suddenly more questions are being asked and more demands are being made, et cetera, et cetera. So,
and before you know it, we have New Vegas 2.
Yeah, well, hopefully
they'll make Obsidian and Bethesda work together once again.
Yeah, so I was a bit naive to think that any type of Fallout 5 announcement at the recent E3 would be forthcoming, because the way it sounds. First of all, Starfield surprised me because I thought it was going to come out at the end of this year, early next year, but no, it's coming out at the end of next year, which means that means Elder Scrolls, you're not even going to hear about anything until like probably 2 years from now. And so that means Fallout, which has 5, which hasn't even been hasn't even been announced yet. That's not going to be announced for another like 2 years. You know what I mean? So like everything I thought was definitely not.
I thought they were at least in like the early stages of development, not like the freaking pre-planning. That just bugs me. I was hoping at the very least start working on some like character models, or a map, to build a mountain, build some grass around it or something, like, I don't know. Like, once again, here's the thing with Elder Scrolls games. There is a lot of pre-production in terms of lore. So I do understand that. There's a lot of work that they do before the time, where I believe with most Elder Scrolls games, they've always built it as a tabletop RPG, technically, like with those elements in mind. They build it as they would kind of build a tabletop RPG world, and then they turn it into a video game after that. So I understand that process takes long. Like, look, Skyrim has so many books in it, like so many books, that it must have taken years to write all the little books that are in the game that never get read.
Or you when you first start the game, you start reading them, and then as soon as you get further along, you're like, I don't have time for this. Like,
yeah, you're not gonna screw that. Well, look, there's a Spotify list that has all the audiobooks on Skyrim. You can listen to those.
Yeah. All right. This next one.
It's sad.
Sad.
Is this about is this the Fallout news?
No. This is I placed this one here. The Rockstar Games co-founder Dan Houser, who's brothers with why am I forgetting his Sam, who's still at Rockstar. Dan Houser left in 2020. Apparently, people are saying that he has registered a company called Absurd Ventures in games in the UK, and there's speculation that this is his new game company. So separated from Rockstar Games, separated from his brother. This is not confirmed. This is just kind of based on this registration. So people are speculating, okay, he was kind of like the main writer for all those games like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and so he's very narrative focused. So yeah, It's gonna be
I
interesting.
yeah, I have no
to
idea
see.
I mean, obviously, I'm expecting a game, an open world game, much like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. But I have a feeling that he'll most likely um, do something so different to separate himself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what I just like. It's going to be an open world game. It's going to be an open world action RPG game. Well, you know what I mean? Not action RPG. Whatever the genre of
Yeah,
GTA
yeah.
is, whatever that genre is, it's going to be
It's
that type
like
of game.
action adventure slash with RPG elements, I guess.
You know, I would love a game like that. It's set in like a fantasy world instead. Imagine GTA, but set in like a fantasy world. You know, you're stealing people's mounts instead of cars. You see some guy roll up in a dragon, you're like, "That's my dragon now." You steal his dragon. You go go fly through some castles. You know, get 5 stars. I'm there for it, man. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Give me a fantasy GTA.
Yeah. So that's just something to keep on the horizon. You
Mm.
know, I'm sure like someone like a Sony or Microsoft would love to buy this studio,
Yeah, acquire it.
even if it has a game. But seeing as Dan left Rockstar, which he co-founded, it seems like the freedom to do what he wants was probably more, you know, important.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'd be selling to anyone anytime soon.
Wait, when did he leave again? What was the year
2020,
that he left? Yeah, maybe he was just like, maybe he just really didn't want to do any more Red Dead stuff, you know?
maybe. Or well, I mean,
Maybe.
Grand Theft would be next. I think it'd be Grand Theft 6
Yeah.
would be next.
Well,
Um,
they are working on Grand Theft Auto 6. I know that
yeah.
they've patented the AI and stuff like that already.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one you sent to me, which is Mortal Kombat Legends, Battle of the
Oh yeah.
Realms. This trailer for this Netflix series. It's a Netflix series, right? No.
Yeah, Netflix.
Is it a series
Isn't
or a
it? I'm pretty
movie?
sure it is. No, it's a series. I
It's a
believe.
series.
Well,
No, it has a
Mortal
rated
Kombat
R.
Legends, right?
It has a rated R thing at the beginning, so yeah, it's a
Yeah, which is
movie.
weird because there wasn't as
Okay.
much blood as what I was expecting, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Are they just hiding it or Oh
Yeah, if it's rated,
no.
it's because I saw like
It's not
green
on
blood and
Netflix. It's not on Netflix. It's a digital and Blu-ray release. So it
oh
is like
wow.
so it is like you either, I'm sure they'll have VOD rentals or whatever. So you either rent it or you buy it digitally or whatever. Watching the trailer,
Yeah, I think it is a movie, not a series. It
yeah,
seemed I
yeah.
thought it was going to be a series.
No. Um in this one, it comes out August 31st. The animation to me kind of looks a little like early 2000s instead of
Mm.
like modern animation. Don't you think?
I, yeah, I don't know how I feel about like just the characters in general. Like
Mm,
some of their faces are a little squished, and
mm,
it's like they definitely went with a style. They chose a style, and I don't think it works. You know, it like I don't know. Some of the characters just the style doesn't suit some of the characters.
mm,
Animation looks good though, like in terms of like the flow. The
mm.
flow of the animation looks pretty good. Um, but yeah, I look they wasn't I don't think there was even a fatality in the freaking trailer, and it's like
I don't know if they're trying to
Mortal.
hide it or what. Cause the beginning of the trailer that we saw, it had a green band trailer, which means that
Mm,
it's has to be semi family friendly, even though it's a rated R. So maybe there will be a rated R trailer later.
yeah, it could
Because
they could just be doing like a PG-13 trailer for promotional
yeah,
reasons, and
yeah,
then
I think so.
because like I
Like
said,
the
I saw blood, but it was green blood. It wasn't real blood. You know, that's what they do usually to not get rated R. They make blood green, or they'll kill robots instead to be able to
yeah,
lower
I just wonder where the
the rating on it.
market, if the where the market is for something like this is. I mean, maybe it's just the diehard Mortal Kombat fans. Like, would I watch
Mm.
this on Netflix? Sure.
But
But
yeah,
I'm
but
not
because
going
it's
to be.
not,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't think I'll be renting or buying this.
it looks like it would have done well on Netflix. I think it would have done well on if it was on Netflix, it would have done well. But like, it's let's face it, the people are gonna watch it, but drastically less than what the viewership would have been if it was on Netflix or Hulu or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because it
All
does
right.
have that Castlevania. It has like a Castlevania feel to it. Like not the style, but the animation, like the color
Mm,
palette and the fluidity of it,
mm.
but not the characters.
All right, this is the next one that you said was sad, and it is sad,
Yeah.
which is River, the real life dog that was kind of the inspiration for Fallout 4's dog meat. If anyone who's played the game knows, it's one of the companions you can get. Passed away, and so Fallout 4 senior designer Joel Burgess on Twitter posted some images of River. I don't know if it was a guy or a girl dog, but just showing off some good memories.
Yeah, it's a beautiful dog in general, man.
Yeah,
It made me want to play Fallout 4 when I read this news. I was actually genuinely. A lot of people did go and pay homage to the dog in like their own virtual way. But I'm not like when I read this news, I got sad because as stupid as the dog mechanics in that game are, and I remember I remember getting so frustrated at how bad the freaking mechanic. Dude, that dog. Sometimes that dog, like the digital dog, not the real one. I want to add the digital dog was so stupid. Like it would. I had to like thank God that Fallout 4 had mod support because if it wasn't for mods, I would not have any love for that dog. But because of mods, I was able to like get the AI on my dog better and also make him more useful in combat because he's kind of useless in combat in the game.
Yeah, so I tried to use dog meat, but he would die
Without
too
mods,
easy.
he's useless. Yeah,
He would die too
literally.
easily. So I
And he wouldn't do much damage. Like think about if you, Dennis, got attacked by a vicious dog, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he did no damage. That was the problem as well. I was like, he's biting people. That should hurt.
So I was like, after he died the first time, and I restarted my game so he wouldn't die. I just sent him back to to the gas station base because I was like, well, I don't want him to.
there. Yeah.
I didn't want him to die and get hurt, so I just sent him there. I left him there as kind of the guardian of that place. But it was kind of a cool thing, though. Just be like, I sent him home, right? I'm like, all right, you go home, right? And then, with fast traveling in Fallout, you can get to places faster. Obviously, because it's called fast travel. So I went to the gas station, and I started walking back towards where I had originally come from, and I saw him on the road walking towards the gas station. So when I sent him away, he actually was physically taking the time
going there, yeah.
To get there, which I thought was very cool. It kept me like, immersed in the game. It wasn't like, oh, okay, whatever. It was like, oh no, he's taking his time. Yeah.
Like you could pet the dog and things like that. That was cool. Yeah, before I used mods, you would just lose the dog as well. You'd be on missions, and then if you Dennis had to play that game and you kept dog meat with you, I promise you would have lost him so many times. There was a playthrough I played where I lost him, and for the life of me, fast traveled everywhere looking for him. He was gone. He was gone. No idea where he was. But yeah, the mods fixed it for him. It's sad news because it's a pretty dog as well. I love animals. Everyone loves animals. I love dogs and I love cats. So it's always sad to see any whether it's a TV show or a video game or anything inspired by an animal when they die. It's sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Moving on. This is a small bit of news, which is there's not going to be any Mass Effect or Dragon Age news or reveals at EA Play this year. As people know, EA Play
stupid.
EA Play Live 2021 was not part of E3 this year. Usually it is. They usually take over down the street from where I live, the Palladium. They usually take over that.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
Yeah,
so they usually do it. Yeah, or sometimes they do it in Hollywood Central.
Yeah,
as well.
so I've been there the last few years, well before the pandemic, and I thought it was a cool event and got to see a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, this year obviously they couldn't do that, so they're just preemptively saying, look, we're working on those two things, but we have nothing to show you at EA Play.
Yeah,
all right.
So here's my 2 cents. The Mass Effect thing. It's like, yeah, it sucks we're not going to see anything, but they already have the hype from the Legendary Edition. Like, there's that hype. People are talking about Mass Effect right now. Whether they show us more Mass Effect or not, people are going to be talking about Mass Effect because of the Legendary Edition. Dragon Age, why not just show us something, man? Like, it's been a while. Like you
Yeah.
got to keep that PR moving. You got to keep that marketing moving. I don't care if you're not going to show me gameplay, man. Bring in the story, right? Bring in the writer. You know,
Mhm.
give us a little bit of backstory. Give us a little bit of something, man. You
Yeah.
know. But that's my biggest gripe. As like they don't have to show us anything. They could have just like at least spoken. They could at least talk about it or something. You
Yeah.
know.
Maybe they're saying for the Game Awards because that is when the new Mass Effect was officially
Mm.
revealed. So who
We're not too
knows?
far away.
Yeah. Speaking of
Already
Mass
halfway
Effect
through the year.
Legendary Edition, Steam is having a summer sale from
Mm.
now into July 8th, and one of the things that is on sale is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So instead of the full $60, you can get it for $50, which, number one, if you've never played the series, that's a steal.
It's 3 big games for
Yeah,
that
3
price, and
huge
the
games.
Legendary Edition just came out. It's
Yeah,
so recent.
each game is about 20 plus hours. So you're talking about 60 hours worth of content for $50. Someone like myself who is interested in getting it, just don't know if I have the time right now to actually play it. Still a good deal, $50. That's till July 8th. Near Replicant is on sale. Instead of $60, it's 25% off for $44.99. Sea of Thieves is on sale for $26.79. Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition for $29.99. The Outer Wilds.
Cyberpunk's on sale.
Yeah. The Wilds, not Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds, which was actually won a lot of rewards.
I think I might actually buy it. Like
$14.99.
Like right after this, I think I might actually buy it because it's a good puzzle game. I've heard great things about the Outer Wilds, and I haven't tried it out yet.
I thought it was on Game Pass though. Wasn't it on Game Pass?
No, no.
Or maybe it's
I
a
wish
Game
it
Pass
was.
for Game Pass for Xbox
For
and not
console.
Game Pass.
Yeah, not for PC. It's a good platform game. I believe I could be wrong about this, but I think the game is based off of like the fact that you're like in a time. You ever play Majora's Mask? Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask?
No.
Like basically the moon is slowly crashing into the world. So you have a set time limit to finish Majora's Mask. Otherwise you just die. Like the moon crashes into you. And this game's similar, where it's like you have a certain amount of time to like fix these puzzles. Otherwise, like the world's end, So it's quite cool.
So, as you mentioned, Cyberpunk 2077, which it wasn't big news. I'll just make a mention of it now. The developers are now finally satisfied with where the game is at in terms of
they say it's
stability and
stable
bugs.
enough.
It is on sale, 33% off. It's $40 on Steam. I mean, what's interesting is, because you and me have always keep talking about how the PC experience was much different than the console experience. If you look at the reviews, it's mostly positive, and that's 371,000 reviews. It's mostly positive. So obviously the PC version did not suffer the
Nearly
controversy in games, and bugs and all that stuff that everyone else did. Here's a game that if you have VR, you definitely should play. Half-Life Alyx, to me, is the best VR game ever made. $35.99. I bought it for full price when it came out. Still think it was worth it. But $35.99. If you haven't played it, definitely. If you have VR, I would run and get that while it's on at that price. Totally worth it. But yeah, there's a lot of different sales. Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners, $31.99. A nice kind of semi-open world type of survival action adventure RPG type of game with the Walking Dead kind of brand and universe to it. Yeah, so check that out. A lot of cool. The Master Chief Collection, if you don't have Game Pass, is only $19.99 right now.
Yeah.
So
which is also it's a steal for the amount of games and the amount of games you get in that. Also a steal.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2, $40. Also, if you have not played that game. Left 4 Dead 2, $199. Dragon Age Inquisition, $7.99.
Oh, that's probably the Game of the Year edition that has everything included.
Yes.
That is a steal. That's so much content. That's so much DLC added. Like for that price, that really is a steal. That's like a good 100 gigs worth of content.
Yeah. All right. So the next piece of news that I wanted to talk about was Konami announces partnership with Blooper Team. So
Yeah.
Blooper Team, you and me most recently talked about because we both
did the
enjoyed
Medium.
the Medium. They also did the
Mm.
Blair Witch, and people have compared their style or their kind of horror.
Well,
kind
the
of
Medium gave
tendencies.
me Silent Hill vibes,
Yeah,
like hardcore Silent Hill vibes.
So there's been rumors that Blooper Team was working on the new Silent Hill game, and so the fact that Konami kind of announced this strategic cooperation agreement is kind of giving fuel to this rumor that it may be true, that maybe they are outsourcing this to them.
I mean, they said we're going to announce something in the summer, and they're listing it as the one you're kind of hoping to hear about.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's pretty plain that this is going to be a Silent Hill game, 100%. Like, at least from what I'm reading, like they've left so many breadcrumbs that are so obvious, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's my last thing, and then we'll hop over to what you got. But this was just kind of funny. It was reported that
this is crazy, actually.
Former Microsoft employee stole $10 million in Xbox gift cards. Not, that's a lot of money. That's not like, oh, I made a few. Obviously, why would you steal $10 million worth of gift cards? One, it's not for yourself. Two, it's not to give away to people, but it's to sell them. Basically, selling them at half price. If he stole 10 million, then he could make 5 million. But so basically, this
easily.
Yeah.
You can. I'm pretty sure that you can trade in any gift card for Bitcoin as well.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of websites where you can trade gift cards for Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
Well, he tried to hide the money that he made from it through Bitcoin.
Oh God.
Because he wanted to put it into Bitcoin, and then when reporting his income and his assets, he would say he was going to tell people that a relative gave him the Bitcoin as a gift,
the money.
Because it's not,
or he could have spun it off where it's like, I just got really lucky with investments or something.
Yeah, something like that.
You can't hide that kind of money, man. You can't. Like, what? How are you gonna hide $10 million US? That's crazy. The only way you can hide that kind of money is through money laundering. All right, you gotta clean that money, buddy. I love how he's like, I'll just put it in Bitcoin. No, man, you should have put that into property. That's what you should have done.
Yeah, but anyway, so he was an engineer there. I mean, his job was actually to use fake codes,
fake accounts to look for loopholes in the payment options.
Yeah,
which makes sense because I always find loopholes, not on Xbox, but on Sony. There's I've had many loopholes on Sony, where I get something I think I had PS Now for free for a good half a year once. It just because there was a glitch where my free trial never ended. Similarly speaking, right now, Ubisoft Plus, Ubisoft's subscription service, I paid for 1 month, and I haven't canceled it yet. I haven't paid them since, so I'm still playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla for free technically right now. I'm not gonna tell them. I highly doubt they're gonna see this and change their policies. But yeah, so it makes sense that there are people like that exist to go look for those loopholes. And it's funny because when I read that, I was like, shit, man, that's a possible job for me. I'm really good at that kind of stuff, actually.
Yeah, just don't do what he did, because now he got
fired. That's stupid.
He got fired in 2018, and then now he is convicted of 18 federal felonies last year in February. And he has to pay back $8.3 million in damages, which
he might not even have made, like you said.
No, he didn't.
If he sold it for half price.
Yeah.
There's no way he made that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's currently in prison, and he's going to be released in March 2027.
He only made $2.8 million. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So.
Oh my God.
What may have he may have thought he hit the jackpot at that time, discovering this bug and then exploiting it, and then now he is suffering the consequences. So yeah, it's one thing if he's played the system for a few $100 so he could, give out some gift cards to some friends. It's another when you're stealing millions and millions.
And million. How did he think he was not going to get caught? That's the craziest part.
People get greedy, man. People get greedy. So that is all the news topics I have. What do you got going on?
I got a couple of things.
Okay.
They're short though. Well, this we're not going to talk about. This blew my mind. This has got nothing to do with gaming. I'll link it to you right now
Okay.
because I want to see your facial reaction to this. But this is TV drama related, not game drama related.
Yes, I saw that
Yeah.
earlier.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, moving forward quickly because we're a gaming channel.
Yeah.
So funny. I actually wanted to mention this anyways, which is that the Final Fantasy Pixel remaster. Yeah, people are not happy about the font used for Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 Pixel remasters, which is stupid. Like, it's readable. Like, I could understand if like they if they did the Pixel remaster and you couldn't read the dialogue, or like maybe sometimes if dialogue's too close together, it doesn't help people with dyslexia, so you need to like stretch out the dialogue a bit more. But this shit's readable. Like with that, what I'm looking at, it's readable.
Are they just not like the style of it, or is the readability of it?
It's a little. It doesn't look like the older stuff, and I think it's because it looks too clean. You know, it doesn't look blocky. The text almost looks like the highest resolution thing in the game. You know, like the UI itself is very crisp. I like it, but like I can see why people are upset. But it's not like oh, I'm not gonna buy the game upset. It's like it's the font. You know, I don't even think it's the font necessarily. I think it's because of how crisp the font is. And shame. People are making fun of it because it's too small. It is quite small. I can see how people with dyslexia have issues, but
if it's too small, that's another thing. That's a whole other, because I remember, and I don't know if they fixed it yet, but Outer Worlds, because I think they had designed it for the PC, the text was way too small on the console, and I was like,
yeah,
they need to fix
good,
this.
yeah.
So I don't remember if they fixed that or not, but I just remember like, okay, this obviously
the
they made this
are
for
funny
the PC.
though. Like this Tim Rogers is like, hey guys, you can buy a good font for like $120. I could buy it for you and give it to you, Square Enix. You know, like this shade is hilarious. So this, Chris Kohler tweeted, "I really don't see the problem," but it was on Twitter, but it was like half the size of normal text. Things like that. That's funny. I think it's a stupid thing to complain. Look, I think it's worth complaining about if you're dyslexic and it's actually a cause for concern. But I mean, it's an easy fix. You know, don't go throwing fire at fire. Don't go throwing fists over something stupid like font. You know. But yeah, that being said, they are doing the Pixel remasters. I believe that the original versions are no longer on the Steam store. They're off the Steam store. So the remasters are available now. It's just a pixel remaster. It still looks like the older ones. They just look like if in theory, you could probably play it on like a projector blown out to an entire cinema. You know what I mean? It looks like they used vectors, you know, which is like you can upscale it infinitely and it won't lose resolution. But it's still very pixely, obviously. It's just like a very crisp pixel. I was hoping for like a more artistic kind of pixel thing, but it was just a cash grab. I get it. Moving forward, though. This is something that's like I'm excited about. There's not much to talk about, which is that Diablo 4 is going to have fully customizable characters and armor. Armor's always been customizable, but it's like a broad stroke with Diablo where it's like you give your armor a skin, you know? You're not going to be individually customizing bits of your armor, which is what it looks like here. But the customizing characters is brand new because in Diablo it's like you pick a class, you can be male and female, and that's it. If you're a female necromancer or a male necromancer, and the way you look is the way you look. But it looks like they've added things like you can like face paint, hair, like you can change hair, things like that. It's actual customizable characters. So I'm excited about that. I think there's a lot more other information out there, but that's all you really need to know. Like I don't need to delve into into character creation for you to know that it involves things like hair dye, face paint, you know, like different clothes, like. You can work it out, but that's exciting stuff because the previous games didn't have that. And then this, I don't know how I feel about this. Of course, it's EA related. So EA and Smite and the Smite dev, which is Hi-Rez Studios, I believe. Yeah, Hi-Rez Studios. I love Smite. Don't like EA, but supposedly they're teaming up to try to bring TV-style commercials to games.
Yeah, that's
That's
kind of
you.
like
that's the big you.
Yeah, that's along the lines of people getting upset that
and they're talking esports games, eh? They're
Yeah.
talking like competitive games that has a lot of. Obviously, you want millions of people to see the commercial. You know what I mean? So they're gonna be putting it into like. They're gonna be put. That's just so stupid. Like how that's the most distracting thing in my
You
opinion
you
in
gonna
like a
make
competitive game.
is the game gonna be free? And is it
And I think they're
also
adding them into like. I think they're gonna add them
existing
into existing
existing
games. Yeah,
that you paid
which is
for already? No, dude.
yeah. That
That
people are
ain't gonna
gonna hate
fly.
EA. Yeah,
That ain't gonna
according to a
fly.
report from Axios, um, the platform called Player One, as in not losing one WON, has been designed by an advertising company, Simul Media, and will allow advertisers to run advertising in console video games in a method similar to mobile games. I swear to God, if they put banner ads in console games, Dennis, I will lose my shit. If I'm busy playing Fortnite and half my freaking screen is just like, hey, come check out the new Hugo Boss perfume, I'm gonna lose it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like I
no,
said, I think we had a conversation about what we found is acceptable in-game advertising, where
yeah,
it's like
like you, I know we talked about it with
organically,
UFC 4.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
we
it was
spoke about it there.
organic and it's in a place that doesn't take you out of where it's supposed to be. That's fine for me. But when you're like, it's totally out of place, totally interrupting your gameplay or taking you out of the world, I think that's
They're just gonna lose
not
money,
cool.
man.
Yeah.
Like I said, the fact that they're teaming up with High Res, which does a free to play MOBA, suggests that it will be in competitive. Like you're not gonna see, you're not gonna see TV commercials in Skyrim, and things like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be your more competitive free to play games that
Where
might
they
even
put
need the
it in, like
advertising.
in between menus or loading menus or what?
Or I maybe in between rounds, like that would make sense to me. Like there's like
People are
a
gonna be
buffer period
upset.
sometimes. Yeah. Well, that's like it's just I don't see why they would think that this is a good idea. Here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna implement this, and people are just gonna stop playing the games that have them implemented.
Yes, exactly.
That's all that's gonna happen. And then they're
Like,
gonna remove it, and then they're gonna realize that all this time and effort that they spent on trying to create this is gonna be a waste because nobody wants it. Um,
yeah,
I'll link the article to you in case you do want to read up on it for later.
cool.
And then this is potentially exciting news for me, at least. Let me just link that to you. There you go. This one is ex-Blizzard developers are partnered with Tencent to form Uncapped Games, and they're working on an RTS title. I love RTS games, and I don't think I'm gonna get StarCraft 3. I don't think I'm gonna get Warcraft 4. I'm getting Age of Empires. Very excited about that, but I'm not going to be getting an RTS from Blizzard for the next 10, 20 years. I just don't see them doing an RTS, which sucks because Blizzard has always made amazing RTS games.
Yeah,
But yeah,
to me, StarCraft is the best
it's,
RTS.
it still is.
So
Like the original StarCraft, still the
yes,
Brood Wars, like that still is the
yeah,
best RTS I've ever played in my life.
yes.
But yeah, so Uncapped Games, the name of the new studio, they are working on an RTS title, which I'm just excited about that, like point blank. Some of this guy's working credits involve Diablo 4, but more importantly, StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. So there are people there with look, I loved StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void too. I think that was also an excellent RTS, not as good as the first one, but it was still very fun. And if you had anything to do with that game and you're now working on your own RTS, I have somewhat high hopes, you know what I mean?
Cool.
But yeah, both apparently a lot of the people, it's not just from people from Blizzard. There are people from THQ, Ubisoft, Foundation 9, Magic Leap, all these other companies. So that's quite cool. I think I'm optimistic about this because it's easy to screw up an RTS. It's very easy to screw up an RTS, but I don't think that they will. And
All right.
that is the last bit of news I have, though. Yeah.
I have one piece of news, and I think you mentioned something related to this as well. So I'll just kind of put this in. So, Doom Eternal, they had promised this one
Oh yeah.
invasion mode where that players could control the enemies. I remember this distinctly because I played this game at E3 before it launched, and there was all this kind of buzz about like, oh, okay, there's gonna be this cool mode where kind of like Left 4 Dead, right? Where you can take control of the enemies and then you can attack other people who are playing in the regular kind of FPS mode. They scrapped it. They scrapped it. They said it was going to be a post-launch mode. They scrapped it. They had replaced it. Now they're gonna have a new invasion mode. That they're gonna. It's a single
Right.
player, and yeah, I know. So
I just remembered the beef that we were talking about here.
yeah.
So, Doom Eternal upgrade to next gen is free, which is great. Free upgrade to next gen. However, and this is I think the article's extreme because I read this article a couple days ago and it's like Doom Eternal's next gen upgrade screws PS5 players, and I was like, I think that's a little hardcore here.
Mm-hmm.
The big like it look the game is optimized a bit better for Xbox, but that's not what the beef is about. The beef is about your save data will not transfer from PS4 to PS5. Whereas if you're on Xbox, your data will transfer from Xbox One to Xbox Series X. So that seems to be the biggest bug is people are upset that it's like cool, it's like it's a free upgrade but now got to start from scratch again, you know?
Yeah.
Which I would do anyways playing on a new console. Like start the process over.
At least
Enjoy
it's
that
free.
4K 60 FPS, you know?
At least
it's free, yeah.
Not making you pay and then whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, they're saying it's weird because even with like the Marvel's Avengers game, you were able to like download your save progress and carry it over through a memory stick, I believe. But this one, it's like it's tricky. Yeah, I don't think it's worth like saying, hey, yeah, they're screwing them. It's like, look, you're getting a free upgrade. It sucks that you can't carry your save over. It actually makes zero sense to me because it's like I feel like they should have. Why do they not have cloud saving at this point? You know what I mean? If that would have been the easiest transfer ever. But then again, like let's face it, Doom doesn't have Sony high up on their priority list. They're very high up on the PC Xbox list in terms of priority. But yeah, that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But I suppose it's unfortunate for the multiplayer aspect. Like people don't care about their story progress. Like it's their multiplayer progress that they want to carry over. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think that's it on my end. You have anything else?
That's it for me.
What have you been playing lately?
Oh, I've been playing Valorant. I mean, I always play Valorant, but we got the new act out. Been playing very competitively. Been ranking up. It's been great.
Nice.
I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, which came out recently on Game Pass. Really, really, really fun. You know, it's kind of like Diablo, but third person.
Okay.
No, it's kind of like Diablo, but third person,
Uh-huh.
but set in the Dungeons and Dragons world. But it's more like an action beat 'em up kind of game with like cool combos. It's a 4-player co-op game. Yeah, I've been having fun with it, you know. I've been playing that, and then what else have I been playing? Let me take a look here. Oh, I'm about to start Scarlet Nexus, which I'm excited about. Only came out a week ago. I'm about to start it. It's the anime just came out a day or two ago, which I think is going to be something people are going to do moving forward with JRPGs. They're going to most likely release because a lot of JRPGs the cutscenes are animated. So like they did it with Persona 5. They've now done it with Scarlet Nexus. I think a lot of JRPGs moving forward, they're going to release the game, and then like a week or two later, they're going to release the anime that follows the game, you know? Because it's like you got all those cutscenes, you may as well make a couple more and turn it into a full show, you know? But yeah, looking forward to playing that. I've heard good things.
Cool. Funny enough, I'm still haven't finished Cyberpunk 2077. I'm on the very last act or whatever. So I feel like I'm going to be done soon with it. Obviously, I'm still playing and testing our pickup basketball VR game, which we're on a Quest release. Should be hopefully out fairly soon. Been doing that. I've been playing this VR game called Down the Rabbit Hole, which is kind of this Alice in Wonderland type of game where you control from like a 3D perspective and you solve puzzles. I downloaded and I haven't played it yet, but it was based on what you were saying. It just looks interesting to me, especially because it's billed as an action RPG, which is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I downloaded that on PC.
So good. It's so good.
So,
Dennis,
I haven't started yet. So
you're gonna love it, man. It's funny because it doesn't look like a turn-based game, but it is turn-based. But it's still really fun.
Cool. So I will check that out. I don't know. Maybe check out this Dark Alliance. See what that's all about.
Based off the story, I'm hooked. That's such a good game.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's it for this episode. Thanks to everyone that's watching and listening. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog Games. You also can subscribe to our podcast feed, which should be on Spotify. Should be on. If you have any difficulties,
it's on Spotify. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone had said they couldn't find it, and I was like, it should be in all the podcast places.
I genuinely think Spotify is the best place to listen to us. I've actually been sending out the link a lot more to Spotify because I'll be honest, I didn't know we were on Spotify.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw that, I sent it around to a lot of friends. I think Spotify is my go-to place for podcasts. So if you guys do like to listen, definitely check us out on Spotify.
Yeah. And then, you can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch at Josh_Toki. I definitely said it wrong last time. And you guys can find me on TikTok at Josh.Toki. And those are the places where I'm most active. If you guys ever have any questions, just at me at the Revog, Revog Discord group. Yeah, as long as you guys at me, I tend to reply fairly often. And yeah.
All right, cool. All right, until next time, we'll see you guys later.